Welcome to Gems and Lies, the show where I take a movie and I reveal to you all the gems of the story and all the lies of the story. Well, all the lies hidden in the story, the gems and the lies. This episode is dedicated to Asheville, North Carolina, a city in America that recently promised the residents reparations in the form of 40 acres and a unicorn. But the African descendant population of Asheville is currently waiting for empty promises to be less empty. But today's movie under discussion will be Django. This is a R-rated Tarantino movie, so there will be adult language through this episode. So, be careful, little ears, what you hear, and be careful, little eyes, what you see. Honestly, I'm doing this episode for all the children and my unborn children and all children to come. On some Tupac stuff, just what can I say? We who are about to speak truth salute you, the royal we. Now, fun fact, Django is actually spelled similarly to how you spell Jedi from the Star Wars movies. Jedi is actually spelled D-J-E-D-I. The D is silent. They were an ancient order of African mystics, the Jedi. That's where Lucas got the main idea for Star Wars, other than the transporter ships from the Dune book. So, yes, before Star Wars, let Samuel L. Jackson wave a grape-flavored lightsaber. The original Jedi were Africans. Now, and as are we all, really, from Africa. Now, when I heard that Tarantino was doing a movie about slavery, I said to myself, finally, here's a man who can depict the horrors of slavery like no director in Hollywood has ever had the stomach to. This is Tarantino, one of the goriest movie makers in American cinema. Not afraid to say dead nigger storage to Samuel L. Jackson, not afraid to cut off human body parts, not afraid to mutilate the women in his movies, not afraid to show the dark realities of rape in sick societies and movies like Pulp Fiction. He's probably the most desensitized entertainer in Hollywood as far as I'm aware, other than Eminem. Hold up. Check it out. So that is an alpha male in a Tarantino movie, right there. Pulp Fiction. So yeah, I said this is Tarantino, so I know he's gonna come with the real gory realities of slavery, like no holds bar, none of this little green lit by sensitive cats in a studio, anyway. So, alas, Tarantino was either too scared to tell a real Tarantino type slave movie or too busy catering to the white supremacist tendencies of Hollywood culture to tell a real slave story. As such is the case, before discussing this movie, I will tell a historically accurate spin-off story of a male slave like Django who did not make it off of the plantation, just so the audience watching Django can put Tarantino's story into context. This is the abridged version of the cycle of life on a slave plantation. I'm calling this story The White Family Plantation. Let us set our scene. The story starts with the white family. the white family owns the white plantation. So, the white family owns the white plantation. The white parents are ashamed of prospering off of slavery, and they don't want the white children to also feel guilty about profiting off of slavery. To solve their white family dilemma, the white family collects token black people to be in the lives of their children, of their young white children, while miseducating them all, so that the white children will not feel guilty about profiting off of slavery when their time comes to run the white family plantation and sell all of their black friends. We'll call the black token boy Django, as opposed to Django. So Django is told by the white family from a youth that he is equal to the white children, but the white family's family business makes him a slave. See? Similarly to the way black children in public school, modern day, are told by their white teachers that they are equal members of American society, while being broken down by said society to be suitable tokens for the white children of America. Until they all come of age and realize the realities of white America and black America. So, Django starts to believe that he is actually accepted by the white family plantation. He becomes friends with the white family plantation master's son. Well, friends with the white family master's son. And just like he was meant to. And the son of the master believes that they are friends as well, despite the white family's obvious unreconciled history of both socio and psychopathic behavior towards Django's family. So other slaves on the plantation try to tell Django that the white family plantation is just using him for the family business. It's a plantation. That's the name of it, the white family plantation. They use slaves and that's the business. So Django, he doesn't want to listen, because from a youth he was raised around them, all the children, all the white children, and all that. So he's not really believing the other slaves, the field slaves, the field Negroes, when they tell him that's not being a house Negro. It's not all it's cracked up to be. It's not really what it is. So and he doesn't listen. But Django's mother also doesn't want him to listen, because she is also being manipulated and raped on a regular basis by the white family plantation and all the employees. So she doesn't want anything to happen to her son Django because he's growing to be a man, an alpha male. So she says, calm down and don't do anything to get out of line or get hurt. So they have the mother telling him to, just step in line. So he's like, okay. So he steps in line. But so eventually, again, this is just an abridged history, accurate depiction of slavery, since Tarantino failed to provide the gory details despite being Tarantino. Anyway, eventually both Django and the master's son come of age. The white family plantation master takes his son aside and says, now you're a man, here's the whip, and you have to take over the plantation. You have to start breaking the slaves, just like I did, just like your daddy before you, just like we taught you. So, just like I was taught, and you've been seeing it, but denial is what it is. So now it's time to take it full on. You're a man now, time to take over the plantation. So, and you're already in it with us at this point, so why resist, So now the master's son doesn't want to let his father down, and he already doesn't want to feel guilty about slavery and racism, so he tells himself that racism doesn't exist because he has a black friend, Django. Then he starts taking over the plantation. But Django is also a full-grown man now. He's an alpha black male on the white family plantation. So, do you know what the most popular method for breaking alpha males on a slave plantation was? I will tell you. Since Tarantino was too scared to talk about it. The slave master, how they broke the alpha black slave, the slave master and his sons would take the alpha black males, like Django, and chain them up in front of the whole white family plantation. Then, the slave master and his sons would homosexually rape the black alpha male in front of their families and in front of their community, in front of their children, in front of everyone, to break them psychologically. This is one historical reason the black community has not fully embraced homosexuality as the white community has. Just a historic reference, just historical. But personally, I love everyone. And after a day of breaking slaves, I think it's a matter really of understanding, like I said, which is why I put that context in there. So, after a day of breaking slaves, the master's son, who is now the master, finds himself a house Negro to spend time with, so he doesn't have to feel guilty about raping, selling, killing all the black friends he grew up with, like Django. Then, Nat Turner shows up. And that is the slave story. Historically accurate slave story. I call it the White Family Plantation. Take heed, those who will. But enough about slave stories. Enough about slave stories. Let's take a look at this spaghetti western, Insult to Black People Everywhere, by Tarantino, titled Django Unchained. The D is silent. So, you heard? All right, if you've already seen this movie, continue now. If you haven't, I can't actually recommend that you watch this movie. I would recommend a new awesome movie called American Skin, directed by Nate Parker. It just came out. It's a deep piece, very well done. And if you choose to watch Django Unchained, I won't tell you to pirate it, because that would be wrong for me to say. That type of stuff is just unsavory. Now, with no further ado, welcome to a third episode of Truth and Lies, or rather, Gems and Lies. Django. Let us begin. Okay, so Gems and Lies. Right here, we will have all of the gems, the truths, and all of the lies. I've listed some. Honestly, this movie is so long, and there's so many things in this movie, I couldn't get everything without doing a live watching class with everybody. So I just picked some highlights for now. So we'll start with the gems, shall we? All of the good. Now, I already mentioned the Jedi thing, but that's not to do with this movie. So, but that is cool. The D is silent. Now, the first truth of this movie is white guilt. The white man, German white man, helping Django out, sits him down in a bar at a certain point in the movie and explains to him, hey, look, I feel guilty about profiting off of slavery. So I want to do something that can work out for both of us in this to make myself feel better about accomplishing what I need to accomplish and using you in order to accomplish that. So that is an honest thing. He said he felt guilty, so that's a white America dilemma right there, obviously. The German, that's another true little thing, thing Tarantino threw in there probably on purpose. It's a German, the character is German, as in Nazi Germany, as in very guilty about the Nazi thing. So that's a guilt shared between American whites and German whites. But the difference being, Germany had the Nuremberg trials to set everything straight and get everybody their piece of land or whatever it was that people were owed after that genocidal period in time. So the Germans actually had the Nuremberg trials, so good for Germany. Now, so yes, that's true. That's a truth. White guilt in there. So props Tarantino for including that. Let's see. Another truth. Big Daddy. He goes to a plantation and he's talking, pulls up to this nice fancy, a plantation house and mansion, and this big white dude, Colonel Sanders mustache, the classic fried chicken Southern cat, steps down and says, hey, how y'all doing? And then the slave girl says, oh, that's Big Daddy. Big Daddy house. That's Big Daddy house. Everything's Big Daddy this, Big Daddy that. So that's another truth. The slang, Big Daddy, that's like a pimp. That's like pimp slang. So the first pimp was actually the slave master turned the black girl into a hoe. So that's a pimp. The lingo, bitch. Bitch is used to, it's a degrading term. It aligns with slavery to dehumanize. You're not calling her a woman, you're calling her a female dog. So she's still a female, but she's a dog. So that's also slang. Pimp slang. So all this lingo that you hear in the modern Shaq movies and all this stuff where they portray the black man as the pimp, it's like, okay, but the original pimp, right, was the white man who turned the black girl into his bitch, aka slave, aka hoe, whore, just not getting paid. So let's see. So that's a truth that he put in there, having the lingo in there, like what that's about. Or anyway, including the lingo. So the truth is there if you do your research, which I encourage everyone to do their own research. Let's see. The castration scene, the scene where Django's hanging upside down and he's all about to get cut up. Let's see. I'm all sweating here. We're all good. I got new lights. I got a mic. We're upgrading people. Now, it's getting hot though. Okay. The castration scene, where he's hanging upside down and the dude's about to do the business, cut him up. And that is another truth, of course, the fear of the black man's, the core of racism, the fear of black man's reproductive system. So they hit that, of course, couldn't leave that out. So that was truth. In that he didn't actually do anything or show anyone having that happen to them or anything like that. So again, not very Tarantino style. If you're gonna no mutilation, no cutting it up. I mean, okay. Anyway, I'm not mad. It's just Tarantino. I was disappointed. Now, let's see. Yeah, this is a classic lynching move. So they included that for historical purposes. Well done. Let's see. Black participation. Yes, when Django starts pretending to be the black slave driver, you see he's playing a role, but that's a real person that he's imitating. So you see historically that person did exist. The black man who was riding with all the slave owners, making sure all of the black field Negroes were in place while he's sitting up on a horse. Even though black people aren't supposed to be on horses, he feels special because he's on a horse with white people, but he's putting his people down, but he's looked on as a nigger by everyone else. Oh, no, we'll get to that later. let's see. So he's participating. It shows black participation in the nightmare, helping Judas, if you will, doing all that. The Judas in the Black Messiah movie, heads up, that movie's more about Judas than it is about the Black Messiah. No diss, just a heads up. Let's see. The black slaver, we just talked about that. And there was another part, they had a white pharaoh on a mantelpiece, a mantelpiece of a white pharaoh on a countertop, and that's the culture vulture taking Egyptian stuff and making it white, gods of Egypt type of thing, as far as Hollywood's concerned. But yeah, culture vulturing and taking black culture and just whitewashing it without giving any real shout out to the original, no real honesty there. So the white pharaoh mantelpiece, the culture vulture thing, Frenchophile, that's another thing, the American obsession with culture and the refusal to learn anything about it. Obsession with anime, but making fun of Eastern people, ching chang talk, you speak funny, learning about French, but liking French stuff, baguettes, but not liking français. That's fine, you know what I'm saying? But it's important to learn. Like if you take interest, that's important. It's important to overcome that fear of ignorance so that you can become more. Now, let's see. Yeah, so the unwillingness to learn about other cultures despite the obsession with them or embrace them, obviously hip hop and all this stuff. I found it ironic that I had to tell white rappers not to call me nigga, because I found it offensive, and then they found that offensive, which I found ironic because hip hop is supposed to be like the uniting thing, and they were saying it was a uniting thing, but they were as pissed off as their grandfathers were about not being able to call me nigga. So that was odd. So check that if anyone's going through that. Let's see, but that was a while ago, so cats, it's all peace. I'm all about moving on. So as long as we can learn, we can move on. And that's what all this is about. Learning is about. This is about teaching and doing your own research, of course, but ultimately, self-discovery and peace. Let's see, the bourgeoisie. It shows the truth about the bourgeoisie culture, the black bourgeoisie. The black rich black cats who don't do anything for the poor white cats. The house Negro, the culture of slavery created a house Negro culture, which then bred a bunch of rich black people who became the gatekeepers of society for other black people, keeping the black people in check. So when a revolution is about to happen or another Nat Turner is about to burn down the plantation, you have the house Negroes come out and say, "Hey, calm down. We're talking to the massa. We're going to make sure that everything's okay." So that's the bourgeoisie culture. He showed that, the girls in the background just kind of watching the horrors of all that and pretending like they're not affected by it, X, Y, and Z. Once again, going along with it because of fear and all of this other stuff, desperation, psychological trauma, etc. So it's important to understand some are victims, but some are too smart to be in their current positions without damning their souls. Let's see. Three Musketeers. Of course, I am not the judge of who is damned and who is not. I simply make observations and see you in the afterlife. But but real talk, I'm looking to bring heaven now. Like none of that waiting stuff. So the bourgeoisie culture, that was the truth. Showed the house nigga. Samuel L. Jackson did his thing. Samuel L. Jackson did his Tarantino thing. What can I say? That was believable. That was acting. Well done. I will say I would like to see a movie one day where Samuel L. Jackson just bitch slaps Tarantino just one time. Do it for charity. I will pay. Like if y'all did a whole thing like Tarantino gets bitch slapped by Samuel L. Jackson, we're doing a charity thing, I would pay. No hate. That's a real comedy thing. No violence. I don't condone violence. I'm just condone slapstick. Now, comedy on occasion. I like British comedy too. And, of course, African comedy, which is all that flows from me. Now, Three Musketeers. That was the biggest one. That was the biggest truth, I think. The Three Musketeers, Alexandre Dumas. I believe I got it right. Like I said, I learned something on this movie, so nice. That was a truth. Three Musketeers, author, a black man. And once again, the head racist, Candy, Mr. Candy, Monsieur Candy, against the Frenchophile, obsessed with it, yet knows nothing about French culture. Shoot. Je parle français, mais I did not know about that. Mais je parle créole aussi. Let's see. And a little Spanish. Un poco. Yeah, we're learning that. So that's the three truths, or Three Musketeers, and the biggest truth of that movie as far as I was concerned. So cool. Those are the gems of the Django movie. So think of it what you will. Do your own research. I thought that was cool. Some truth. So cool. Now for the lies of the movie. So the first lie would be, of course, the white Jesus or white savior thing that every movie has about the white guy saving the black guy. And, it's like, it's cool, but it's like Muhammed Ali said. He said, you can have, if there's 1,000 vipers at your door and there's one garden snake who's not poisonous, a good snake, and you open the door, you can't open the door to let 1,000 poison snakes in just to get one garden snake in. You have to have a better process than that. So anytime the white savior thing comes up, it's like, oh yeah, white savior, so let all white people are good. It's like, yeah, all people are not necessarily good. So let's not go there. So the white Jesus lie, no. But it's cool that I like the story, don't get me wrong. He dies for Django. That was a little overkill. He didn't have to do that. Got emotional about it, I guess, about the Beethoven insulting Germany. So again, reinforcing that Germany is no longer racist. And that's cool. They had the Nuremberg trials, like I said. So we have action along with words. So now the next truth is how many times nigger was said in the movie. So they have a count. I lost count, honestly. I was counting. Spike Lee said, I heard someone's rumors and such. I saw online 100 or 110 times. Seems to be the standard if you do a search. Like I said, doing your own research. But I lost count. I saw somebody said 100 to 110 times the word nigger was said. So that I actually didn't have a problem with because I'm a wordsmith. So if I'm cussing or whatever using words, I support the use of words for what they are for. Similar, that's a whole nother conversation, the word nigger, and switching up to nigger to take away the power from white people to be like, yo, you can't use that anymore. For all the racists, you can't use that. Then coming into hip hop, having white people have it reinserted so that the white kids can call the black kids nigger, and everyone gets confused with the word instead of just dropping the word completely after we took the power from it. That's my opinion on the matter. That's a long subject, though. Of course, I have different views depending on where, depending on individuals. Individuality is important. But this is a psychological warfare, and that is a statistic game as far as how they're playing you. So, acknowledge your individuality, but know that the group is under attack, or certain groups are under attack. And it's systematic, like Battle of the Five Armies. First take out this group and then take out everyone after them. By our blood are your lands kept safe, as the Boromir and Lord of the Rings said. But we'll get to that movie later. Right now it's about Django. So nigger was said 110 times, supposedly, or 100 or more times. I lost count. But I did not have a problem with that. Once again, I will say I did not have a problem with that. That's accurate. That's slavery. That's slavery time. You know, that's your name. That's your name. Boy is just like a courtesy. You know what I'm saying? So that's not even a problem with me. What bothered me is that the word cracker or cracker is said 0 times. I counted no times where the word cracker was used. And I thought that wasn't accurate at all. You got a bunch of slaves huddled together getting whipped. Not one of them, even the guys in the cage sitting there like talking about, man, these crackers. No? Not once? Not, you don't think that, no slavery kind of vibe there? A little animosity towards the massa? You can't show that. You know, that's not good for the masses. So, they didn't show that. Cracker said 0 times, so I couldn't really respect that as far as historic accuracy. But like I said, no problem with the nigger stuff. I didn't have a problem with it anyway. Addressing that, the nigger pass. Samuel L. Jackson announced, hey, Tarantino can say the word nigger whenever he wants to say it. And, you know, that is fine. Opinionated, but I just had to be telling all these white people saying it, like, just because you have a black friend who says you can say it, that's like limited to that person for real. Because like if you come around a large group of people, like it's not gonna matter like who you know, who was cool with you, who told you that you could insult some people who found it insulting, you know. So just be mindful of that. But once again, all respect to my brothers. Let's see. What else we got? Once again, the Nazi killing, the Klansman killing. They let Django kill a bunch of Klansmen when they came riding in. But there's a thing in Hollywood where they don't let black males kill Nazis in Nazi movies, like the Inglourious Basterds movie. No black men were allowed. You know, they have all these stories about Jews being like, you know, getting revenge on the Nazis, a whole squad of Jews, military to hunt down Nazis. Like they got movies about it, right? Even the one, they got a new movie, I believe, about it, and they have a black woman in that, but not a black male. And that's a very important distinction because the black male is the main threat. So you are allowed to kill Klansmen on screen, but you're not allowed to kill Nazis on screen as a black man. Because if you kill Nazis on screen as a black man, then that will show the similarity, the fact that there's no difference between a Nazi and a Klansman. So if you have that, then you uncover the fact that you have a code of protecting enemies, military code of protecting enemies overseas, both abroad and both foreign and domestic. So both foreign and domestic. So you handle the foreign threats, but the domestic ones, if they're convenient for you, whoever you running the system are, will be left alone. So that's just one of those interesting things in Hollywood where black males are not allowed to kill Nazis. I believe that was the reason for the connection. Once again, do your own research. You can trust me, of course, but do your own research. I always do my own research when someone tells me they can trust me, or someone tells me that I can trust them, just because. Or if they don't, because I do my own research. That's just me. Let's see. I do appreciate your trust on this matter if you're watching. Let's see. So, that's about the KKK. So yeah, it's okay to kill your oppressor in a fantasy, but it's not okay to object to your white oppressor in reality. That's the message. Like, you can do it in Django, but in real life, if the Klansmen ride on you and you're a Black Panther and you get a gun, then you're a problem, you know? So it's important to stay awake. Let's see. And once again, he was afraid to show the gore of slavery, so I was disappointed, like I said, ultimately at the end of the day. The girls, all that, no gore with the girls. He didn't bloody up any girls, you know. He manhandled one at the one speech, which is actually the biggest lie of the entire movie, which I wanted to get to last. The Candy, Monsieur Candy, the docile speech at the end of the movie. I believe it's close to the end of the movie. But he makes this whole speech about the docile nature of black people. He gets out a skull of his old slave and he breaks it open and he shows like a dimple inside the slave and does it very scientifically. And he explains to you, to the audience, to anyone watching, that that dimple in the slave's mind, in slave's brain, is actually different from the white brain, and that black people are supposed to be submissive to white people. And it gives you this whole speech about the scientific nature of it, right? And it then gives you the speech, and then it leaves you, right, with that speech. And that speech, once again, it's very tricky because the speech in cinema is it's all smoke and mirrors, right? So the speech in cinema is presented as truth, even though you walked into a movie and you know it's a movie. The fantasy can take over and make you believe what you're watching is like a real thing, and you start to trust the screen, you know, the people on the screen, because that's Leonardo DiCaprio is telling you the scientific thing, breaking it down like a class, you know what I mean? So you see this stuff on the screen, and they leave you with fact. Leave you as if it's fact. So you're left with that whole speech about black people being inferior to white people, which is the whole base of racism, and how racism actually, you know, was justified and is justified. Well, they still try to justify it via psychology. You know, dehumanizing black people. You know, bitch. Once again, less than human. Some white people I know think that animal rights are more on a higher level, priority level, like, and that's kind of twisted. So check that. Let's see. So anyway, the docile speech talking about black people are subhuman leaves you there for how long did it leave us there? I had the time that the speech started, but I lost the time. It's close to the end of the movie, but the speech leaves you for 40 minutes or 39 minutes and 20 seconds. 39 minutes and 20 seconds until that speech is once again addressed. And before that point, that speech is reinforced by another statement that is made by, I believe, either Samuel L. Jackson or Mr. Candy, a statement referring to that original speech about 12 minutes later, revamping that truth in your mind. Until 39 minutes, 40 minutes later, where Django's walking down the stairs and he says, everything Calvin Candy said was pure horseshit. Boom! Like shoots him, right? That is the only thing he said, like, that's 40 minutes later, and it just gives a little reference to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, so now if you're in the audience and you're not an intelligent black individual, like you're a young kid, and you see that, you're thinking about the scientific possibilities of like, wow, am I inferior? I'm really inferior. Like, wow. You're going through that for like 40 minutes until Django, the hero, says, hey, it's okay, that was bullshit. But he doesn't actually refer to that, like break it down. He's just talking about in general, you know what I'm saying? But okay, he refers to it, says it's bullshit. But that's 40 minutes later after it is presented as fact. And of course, if you ask anybody, they can say, oh, it's a movie. It was presented as fantasy anyway. The guy was just making a speech and he's a bad guy, so you know it's not a real thing. But this is cinema, so when it's presented as reality and you're presented in a way as if you're sitting in a classroom and this cat is now your teacher and you've been absorbed in this whole thing, boom, 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 not to mention the psychological warfare that's been going on with black people anyway, with looking at white people like they know what they're doing. So as far as society, like looking to the white Jesus, if you will. And I'm not a religious person, by the way. I think I respect your religion. If you're religious, I respect your religion because free will. The white Jesus thing doesn't work for me. It's just historically never made really sense. And historically, geographically. And then of course, it doesn't matter what color was great. So let's make it not matter. So, but anyway, that is what they did with the 40 minutes later. And then you're left with like, oh my goodness. Yeah, you're left with that, and then 40 minutes later, it's like, oh, okay, but already the psychology is starting to mess with you. I also wanted to say that Calvin, he might have got this. I don't know if this is where he got that from, but the reality, like a true research project that was done during the Vietnam War when the black soldiers, when bodies started coming in. They started doing operations on the soldiers' heads, and white soldiers and black soldiers. And what they found was melanin. The difference was the melanin soldiers with more melanin had their pineal gland at a higher level of function. Like it wasn't calcified. If you've ever heard of a calcified pineal gland, that doesn't apply to melanated people, according to this research that they found during Nam when they were doing research on that sort of thing. So the cranial thing that they're talking about, it's very possible it stemmed from that and was just inverted into something to make it sound like melanated people are inferior, when in fact the melanin actually increases production of the pineal gland. So if you are a black kid and you heard that, then don't feel bad about it, because it's not true. That whole Calvin Canty speech, you know? So I'm just gonna debunk the lies. Like I said, this class is being taught in the mind frame of the order of operations law as applied to society, American society, just society. The first problem is racism. So that's the mentality in which this class is taught. So cool. That is all I have on this particular movie, I believe, Django. Cool. Okay. I couldn't cover everything without doing a Zoom class, but went well, I believe. Just to be clear, I don't hate Tarantino. Actually, you want to know my favorite Tarantino movie? It starts at a press conference, and Tarantino is there, and he's about to accept this award for breaking some international cinematic record for this movie called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then right when they're about to hand him his So White award, Shannon Lee, daughter of Bruce Lee, comes out of nowhere and kicks Tarantino's ass. She takes his award away and delivers him a verbal thrashing so sound, I dare say, Tarantino rethought his entire racist movie directing process. She was like, "Don't you ever talk about my daddy!" Yeah, it was like that. It was like that. Don't you ever talk about my father. Whew. So yeah, Shannon Lee did that to Tarantino. It was beautiful. Let's see. But that's how the movie went. Oh wait, I just realized that's not an actual movie, because I haven't directed it yet. I actually want to make a movie based on that true story. So Shannon Lee can call me whenever we can get that made, you know. True story. An actual true story. A Hollywood true story. Anyway, I thought that was beautiful. Just seeing a woman stand up for her father's legend like that. So, yeah, that was awesome. I mean, evidently Tarantino tried to tarnish Bruce Lee's legend, like Hollywood repeatedly attempts to tarnish the legend of African history. And let's be clear, slavery is not black history. Slavery is white history. Black history is far longer. So, remember, whatever you do it for the children. Once again, this class is being taught in the mentality of the order of operations. So, all truth, no sugar. This has been Gems and Lies, the show where I take a movie and reveal to you all of the gems of the story and all of the lies hidden in the story. And yeah, this has been a beautiful Empire Initiative production. If you're watching this, you are the beautiful empire. Subscribe and like it if you like it.